Hi everybody, my name's Gary and thanks for watching this video. You've bought your new GoPro Hero 10 Black. I've also got the Hero 8 Black. You may have the Hero 9 Black. You took it for a spin, you come home, you check the footage, and unfortunately it's coming out like this. Lots of distortion, quite a lot of camera movement too. Not great at all, and what you really want is for it to come out something like this. Super smooth, no distortion, and the image quality is pretty good. Well, what you need to do is watch this video. First off, I know we always say this, but please like, share and subscribe. If you find what I'm saying helpful or interesting, or you think somebody else might find it helpful or interesting, then please give it a share, like and subscribe to this channel. This video is mainly for an outdoor setting where you are going for mixed light. So it could be something that is really sunny for a few minutes, and then you maybe dive into some tree coverage and you lose so much light. I don't want to get too technical, but if you're in a constantly low lit area, like indoors, maybe at night or at night time, then you can do the things like manipulate your shutter speed. And a little kind of heads up, basically we keep the shutter speed at auto. This is not a GoPro bashing video. I love my GoPro. I've had the Hero 8, didn't buy the 9, and now I've bought the 10, and it's an awesome camera. And if you are filming in a well-lit situation, out of the box, it does an amazing job. Amazing film, footage, 5K footage up to 5.3. Stabilization is awesome, but, and it's a big but, as soon as you take some light away, it does struggle. So how did I solve it? Fortunately for you guys, I spent a load of time filming in different scenarios, in poorly lit conditions, loads of different settings. To be fair, I cracked it. I also came to the conclusion that I needed a handheld gimbal. I know this might be not what you want to hear, but it really is the only way I could get silky, smooth, stable footage in a poorly lit situation. Now, I use the Hohem iSteady 4 gimbal. It's really awesome, to be honest, and I've had the iSteady 2 in the past, but the GoPro Hero 10 is bigger than my old GoPro, and it just didn't fit in my old gimbal, so I needed to upgrade. It's not all bad, you do have to mount your GoPro. You can have a head mount, a chesty, you can use the little handheld stubby thing that you can get with the GoPro, or a gimbal. And like I say, I've tested them all, various situations, and the gimbal is the best. It's not all bad news. It does double up as an external power source. So if you are planning on playing around with your GoPro, then this will keep you going for a few hours. What did I do? Well, I played around with the ISO, I played around with the stabilization, and I played around with the EV comp. The following footage will give you a good idea as to why I decided to go with the settings I chose in the end. Trees haven't got leaves on, but it's misty day, it's quite low light, a miserable day, but there is no glitching with this. I must point out, with the -2 on the EV comp, the image was so dark I had to increase the brightness in post. So I'm going to rule that out for further tests. I think I'm going to keep it at 0 or -0.5, but all of these, as far as the stabilization point of view, is fine. It is getting a bit noisier, but maybe that's something to do with the misty conditions, because you'll see in the next bit of footage it isn't so bad. Yeah, immediately I think off the bat there with the 6400, a little bit grainy in the trees to the right, so I think I will discard that. Then we move to a different location, a little glitch there. My initial observations are maybe I'm going to abandon the 400 ISO and the 6400 ISO 2, but generally speaking, the 800 is fine. But what we've got here is the high stabilization. This camera is doing a lot of work behind the scenes in camera stabilization, so I thought I'd do a different test where I had the high stabilization, where I was moving a bit quicker, because all of this, I was quite pedestrian in my movement and it's doing such a good job. But we've got a little bit of footage coming up after the 6400 footage, which will show high stabilization in low light when you're moving a bit faster. So as you can see, moving fine, but it's glitching on the wooded area there. Initially, all of the footage from 800 to 3200 was usable, but then 1600 moving at speed made it unusable. So what we've done now is we're going to rule out the 400, rule out the 6400, and we've reduced to a standard stabilization. So it's counterintuitive, turn the stabilization down to increase the quality of your footage, but what is happening. This is a pretty good well lit situation, and as you can see, the ISO 3200 is fine. Now at 800, this is looking okay. Maybe a slight little glitch that, yeah, I just saw a little glitch there. So that's a kind of a negative for the 800 ISO with the standard stabilization. 1600 is pretty good with that one. 3200 should hopefully sail through this. Just let's have a quick look. Yeah, no issues there. So 800, oh yeah, you can see that glitching all over the place. So I think we can discard the 800 ISO and the standard stabilization. Now the next one is 1600, and bear in mind the 1600 with the full stabilization was glitching, and that seems pretty good. Maybe a little glitch there, but this is quite an extreme test. 3200 4K with the standard stabilization, and that is fine. Now we're going to go over tree. 800 seems fine. Little glitch there. Oh, little glitch there. So again, as an insurance policy, I would rule out the 800 ISO. Your max 800, max ISO 800. 16, not so bad, and 3200 hopefully is good. So you can see where we're going with this. Let's fingers crossed. Yeah, 3200 is fine. Wow, lots to take in. Hopefully you're still with me. I was in two minds whether to just post the finished results at the end, but for continuity and to give the test some validation, I needed to show you the progress. But what have I learned from that? Right, so first of all, yes, I need a gimbal. I'm going to do another video based on the different mounts for your GoPro, just so you can see these settings if I applied them to different GoPro mounts, and you'll just see how poor the footage is. So first off, you need a gimbal. The next thing, I set the EV comp at -0.5. You could probably put it at 0, to be honest. I think it's fine. I turn the camera down to standard stabilization. It does still have some in-camera stabilization, but the gimbal really picks up the slack, and it's just asking the camera to do less. So that is what I do with that. I use the auto shutter speed. I think that's super important. You can't have a manual shutter speed with this. You can't apply the 180 rule, because when you go into a well-lit situation, you'll just flood the image with light and it will become unwatchable. Finally, which is probably the most controversial because of the level of noise it can introduce in a low-lit situation, is turn the ISO up to 3200. I'm not too sure what it is, but something happens inside the camera, that the combination of increasing the ISO to 3200 and reducing the stabilization, it just seems to click and it seems to work. Yes, you are going to increase the noise, and in poorly lit situations you might get some grainy footage, but it is usable footage. It's not glitchy, it's not unwatchable. Bear in mind that is only the max ISO. I set mine from a minimum to 100 to a max of 3200. So when it's well lit, it will rely on the lower ISO number and your footage will be fine. It's only when it needs that extra light coming in that it will push it up to the max of 3200. And that seems to work for me. So with all this in mind, you know, you've got to really put it to test. And luckily for us in the UK, we have this glorious organisation called Parkrun. They are actually all around the world, but super popular in the UK. So I thought I'd go and film my local New Year's Day Parkrun. So this footage that you're going to see now is a small clip from that Parkrun. And as you can see, it is super smooth, no glitching, just, you know, really, really watchable. There is going to be a link to the full video if you want to nerd out on the whole thing. Bear in mind, it was early morning in the UK winter, so the sun was low, so sometimes when you're running into the sun it is heavily silhouetted. But you know, that's another good test for the GoPro. It really doesn't like low light and shadows. So as you can see through the whole footage, there's no glitching at all. Actually, it's 100%. The quality is fine, and I think that is that. If you use different settings and you are crushing it, please, please, please share them in the notes below. Share them with me, share them with other YouTubers. Fingers crossed this helps. If it does, please like, share and subscribe. Really appreciate all the subscriptions, all the likes, all the shares and all the comments. It really means a lot to me. And with that, I think we're done. I've kept you long enough. You take care, everybody. See you soon.